And we're down here at the camp. This is what the river looks like when it's full. Oh, what a difference a good rain makes in a couple of days for it to find its way down here. I wanted to put some footage of it on here. Where I was standing at a few days ago was dry, and now it's about 4 foot deep. The reason for this video is to clear up some terms. Firearms training. Training is when you're taught a skill. And because you are taught a skill does not always mean you're going to retain it. I've heard some people describe it as like putting a down payment on the car. You are taught a skill. You may go through that drill a few times in a classroom. You may go through it sometimes on the range. But you have not mastered that skill until it becomes second nature. When you master a skill, that's done through a lot of practice, be it manipulating a semi-automatic, loading and unloading a revolver, having that proper smooth squeeze on a trigger, perfection in your sight alignment as you're pulling the trigger. That's a matter of practice, and it's not mastered in a 1-day class, a 2-day class, even a 4-day class. That's when you get your information and your drills that you should be practicing on. The other two terms are qualified and proficient. Qualified simply means that you meet a minimum standard. In most law enforcement agencies, in Florida, you're required to shoot 80% with whatever number of rounds they give you at a target at varying distances. Because you can hit a target 80% of the time does not mean you are proficient. It means that you can hit a target a minimum of 80% of the time. To become proficient takes training and much practice. I've run some of the same drills hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times until they become second nature. Does it mean that when I have a lethal confrontation, that's my first response? No. Got a log floating down the river there with some leaves. But what being proficient does is allow me to respond to a threat properly. If I can talk somebody down, fine. If I have to go to an empty-handed technique, fine. Being proficient, that means that that last option, that lethal option, is always my ace in the hole. Because if it comes down to it, we can go to it. Your training and your practice will lead to your proficiency. In most cases, once you become suitably proficient, you will have no problem qualifying. But qualifying simply means you meet a minimum standard. It does not mean that you're some kind of Superman. It simply means, hey, you have met the minimum standard. And a lot of standards, unfortunately, aren't that high. When you also add stress to a situation, you expect your hits to drop by about 2/3. So even if you qualified at 90%, you're going to hit about 1 in 3 shots in a real life scenario. If you qualify at 80%, you're probably going to hit maybe 25%. 27%, 1 out of 3. If you're lucky, 2 out of 3. So that's why you have to train and you have to practice to meet that higher standard. Because it's not worth a damn if you have to deal with a lethal threat and you have no other alternative. You have to go to a gun that you shoot up 2 or 3 innocent bystanders to shoot one bad guy. You've done nothing to help the problem. You've created more problems. You want to neutralize the threat without causing collateral damage. Well, enjoy the footage of the river. It's beautiful, it's full, it's flowing nicely. I'll see y'all later.